Hey, have you found yourself feeling anxious and you might even call it stuck? And you're not sure why. I mean, there's nothing major going on in your life that you can pinpoint a reason for why you might be feeling the way you do. Well, I would love to talk about it with you because I have felt that way. And I think I know one of the reasons that might be that I would love to share with you. A few months ago, I had talked about moving into the new year. I really wanted to be moving into 2025 with hands open and just really looking at all the things that I had been putting my hand to and laying aside and letting go of anything that wasn't meant for this next season. And that was much harder than I thought, to my surprise. I found myself trying to move ahead on new ideas and continuing things that I had already been putting my hand to. And some of those things were necessary, things that were already in motion, but it was much harder than I thought it would be. Now, I didn't realize it at the time, but now looking back, I can see that as spring arrived, I kind of just neatly put a bow and put away any of that processing. And I didn't really think about it, but I think what it was is winter's over, walking out of winter, moving into spring, and it's all about growth, and just shifted my mindset, not realizing that what I had felt called to process and focus and pay attention to was not finished. So as I was moving into spring and diving into the spring seasonal journal, I found myself still feeling the tension that I had felt at the end of the year, which was the whole reason that I was moving into the new year like I was. So that kind of confused me because I'm like, okay, we already dealt with that. We're moving into spring, focusing on growth, awakening, all the things. But here's the power of journaling and why I love taking the time frequently, doesn't have to be every day, but frequently to sit down and get thoughts, feelings, prayers out on paper, because it is so helpful in our spiritual and emotional and physical journeys to have a roadmap to kind of be able to go back and track. Because sometimes, here's the thing, sometimes we can feel like something has been forever and we've just been dealing with forever, or we feel like we're not making any progress in an area. But when we can tangibly go back and see things we have written, we'll see the signs of growth and progress that when we're seeing it face to face, sometimes we don't always recognize it. And I think that's just so helpful for our journey. So I'm a big fan of journaling, if you don't know. And when I say journaling, that can look so many different ways. It needs to be something that works for you. So when I share my experiences of journaling, it might not be anything you would enjoy or the way I do it. And that's totally okay because I'm doing it the way that works for me. And it's like, there's going to be a way for you to document and write things down and take note of your life and help you process things out that's going to be unique to your personality, to the way your brain is wired, and all of those things. So find your groove with writing. I like to say writing sometimes instead of journaling because there is something powerful in picking up a pen or pencil and writing out your thoughts and your prayers and documenting things in your life. So as I was aware that these are tensions that are getting stronger, that something's going on here and I need to pay attention because obviously I didn't allow the work to be completed of what I was being called to pay attention to. So here's the thing, the day I'm recording this, it's May 1st. And I thought, you know what? In light of what I wanted to share, maybe you, like me, need a little mid-spring check-in. So I have some questions for you that I've been asking myself that I think you might find helpful as well. So the first thing I want to ask you is, how is your spiritual journey been unfolding since walking into spring? What new insights are maybe coming up and blossoming in your life? So what I felt coming up for me personally was more tension. And I was so confused of like, why am I feeling this tension when there's no reason why I should be feeling this way. So as I started processing this again and even looking back at some of the things I wrote, I realized that this isn't something that just started coming up this spring season. It actually started, this is what I was talking about, moving into the new year, this pull and this invitation to take inventory of life with some of the things that I was spending my time doing that I loved, that I felt I wanted to continue doing, but knowing that I don't want to continue anything just for the sake of continuing, because life's too precious and we have a certain amount of moments in our day, and I want to be giving my intention and energy where I need to be. So as I started processing this out, I realized that the tension I was feeling, the rub that just something was off, that I couldn't quite put my finger on, I realized I was I was bumping up against the edge of growth. We're created to grow, so we're always being invited to grow. So I want to say that. But here's what I saw, that I had gotten comfortable with where I was in my life, with the growth that I had experienced. I was very comfortable with that. And yes, there were challenging times that still I felt like pushed and wasn't standing fully in that growth. And obviously there was still ways I could grow within the growth that I had experienced. I get that. But I definitely was feeling bumping up against my comfort zone. But this tension and uncomfortableness that I was feeling was me bumping up against the edge of growth. I have boxed myself in to what feels comfortable now. Now, a decade ago, the way I live now would have not been comfortable for me. And that's the thing about growth. We grow and we change. And that's such a beautiful and needed thing in each of our lives. But we can get comfortable with how we have grown and want to hang out there and stay there. And that doesn't mean that we ditch everything and like, okay, now I'm growing and life's totally going to turn upside down and change. I'm not saying that. And I think this is individual for each of us. But I think if you have been feeling this underlying uneasiness and you're not sure why, and when you try to figure it out, there's just nothing you can pinpoint that would make sense as to why you're feeling this way, I would invite you to look at maybe, just maybe, you are being invited to grow and to awake to a new and fresh and more alive version of who you were designed and created to be. And maybe you know what that looks like, or maybe you're hearing this and you think, I have no idea what that would even look like for me. And that's okay, because the awareness is a huge factor in this. The awareness that there is more is a powerful thing to be aware of and to understand. And it opens your heart and your mind for expansion of what could be next. But if you are so focused on the way things are and not open to anything else, then you're not leaving any room in your heart and your mind and your imagination and your emotions to receive anything new in your life. So you're not even looking for it. And as I have been thinking about this, it's not even necessarily about a new project or a new venture or anything like that. It's actually about me, Susan, who I am bumping up against the edge of everything that I've been created to be. Now, does that mean that exactly how God designed and wired me to bring beauty and goodness into the world is going to be this project that I can conquer? No, our lives, our spiritual journeys are ongoing, and it's a faith walk that we have been invited to by the God of the universe that created and designed us. So it's a process, it's a journey, and it's more than just what I'm doing. It's who I'm being, who God designed me to be, who God designed you to be in the world. So it's not about some grand venture. Yes, that might be part of it, but it's more about who are you? How are you showing up in your everyday, ordinary life, in your home, in your workplace, in your city, and in the world? How are you showing up? Because all of it affects all of it. We oftentimes think that unless something is on a big stage or gets a lot of attention, that it's not life-changing. But I want to tell you, when you look into the eyes of someone you pass on the street or in a store, or you get in a conversation with somebody, it matters. It matters. That moment matters so much, and it changes the atmosphere. It changes what happens next. So every moment, every word we speak, every action that we do, whether it's seen or unseen, it makes a difference in the world. So here's another question or prompt that I would love for you to think about as we're kind of doing this little mid-spring check-in. Where in your life are you feeling some kind of awakening or new life? Because here's what I want you to do. Do more of that. And it might be just a small little glimmer of life or excitement or curiosity that you sense. And it might not be anything major, but whatever it is, do more of that. Just do the next thing that you sense is bringing you joy and is making you feel alive, because there's something in that that is going to help bring attention to something else in your life. And there's something about new life that sparks new life within us and can awaken parts of us that have been dormant or are not showing signs of life. And we were created to live and to live abundantly. And I want to remind you of that today, that who you are and who you are in the world matters, that you're needed, your voice is needed, your passion, your dreams. So I want to give you a little nudge today to move past, to push through, just like we're seeing right now in the world. We're seeing these tiny buds, push up through the dirt to flourish and to blossom. I want to encourage you to push up against that edge of growth that you're being invited into, that might feel a little hard to push through the dirt of winter or hard season that you're coming out of, or maybe you still feel like you're in. But I promise you, you have the strength and the perseverance inside of you that maybe you have not activated or tapped into, but the Spirit of God planted those things within you that you have access to. So I just want to encourage you today that if you've been feeling that anxiety and that tension, then maybe take a look at that. Maybe you're being invited to growth and to awakening and to new life that you've been ignoring, that you've gotten comfortable with the way life is. And so that rub and that tension and that uneasiness is your invitation to grow. And I am continuing to cheer you on to be everything that God designed and created you to be in the world. Be blessed.